I was very clear. This conversation started about 5 years ago, and it's taken that long because the show is extremely ambitious and there was a lot of development that happened. But what was presented to me by Jen Salke, who's the head of Amazon Studios, was she wanted to create an international, global franchise, which is an original IP, which truly connects the world. So when we talk about diversity, Amazon is very much about diversity, and true diversity is represented internationally, not just with having different skin tones, but hearing the way people speak, actually delving into culture. And this show has an incredible ability to span across every country, every continent. So I didn't even know the story, and I was like, yep, doing it. The whole agro team, bringing in David. There was such a sense of collaboration that they had with us. They trusted the actors. They asked us questions about, our characters, what we thought our characters would do. So there was this incredible trust and faith which we absolutely had in them because of their credibility, but they showed in us as well. So when you walk onto set, it was never a us and you thing. It was all of us together creating the show. So we feel a sense of ownership and we feel a sense of belonging because it's ours that we put in. They helped us, they encouraged us to protect our characters, they encouraged us to talk about our characters, and I think that made it a really wonderful work experience. I can imagine what our characters do. I think Mason's character comes from a place of really trying to understand his past and who he is as a person today, and I think Nadia is who she is today and what she's going to be in the future. And they kind of are star-crossed. They kind of are drawn to each other no matter what happens. And there's, outside of all the flashy action and the, big stunts and the explosion and all that, every day, we've had to come in every day and kind of not just check, like Richard said, check in with each other, because our characters we knew our characters really well, so we would say, do you have this information yet? Did Nadia tell Mason this? Does Kyle know that? And then we had to really confer with the directors and filmmakers to be like, we don't want to pull on a thread that we can't, eventually answer. But this show is like a duck. It looks beautiful, it's swimming beautifully, but underneath it's like, lovely. And so we shot it over a year and a half. We shot it during 2021, which was, COVID time. We invested a lot of ourselves in the show. And that's why we're so excited to share it with the world, because I think I left part of my spirit in it. Really part of my soul is in Citadel. It's extremely intentional, and that's what makes the show stand out, is that it's not just flashy, it doesn't just have amazing action, it's like big sequences and explosions, but you actually invest in the characters that you're watching, because that's the main story, is what's happening between them. Everything else is a byproduct of the story.
Emoting in the middle of all the action.
So it's so much better than just doing action. Like you're sitting and hitting someone, punching someone. It's like especially in my first sequence, for example, when the show opens, to be able to scream at each other, exchange dialogue in the middle of like fighting 5 bad guys, to find like a quiet moment, to have a real conversation and then go back to like explosions. It was so exciting to be able to see and to be able to see and execute a scene that was created like that, because it's not boring, you're not just seeing like, okay, we've seen this amazing stunts before, you actually have interest and soul and you're invested, you're like, what is happening? And I think that just gives the show so much of an edge over all the other action spy world.
There's a scene, stop, where you dodge a knife, and I look at her and I was like, oh, okay. So what does it take to actually do an action sequence choreography? What did you learn?
Well, I had to really trust Richard that he won't stab my face. And he threw that knife. Can you imagine you're standing and you have co-actors throwing a knife, and I'm joking, it's a CGI knife. And throw one on me.
Suddenly it's a magic show.
But that's what I learned. Smoke and mirrors, movie magic, guys, that you can make anything happen, and movie magic is a real thing, and that looks extremely authentic, but it was just Richard doing that. So, because our script is extremely, it's many layers, and there's a lot going on. I'll come on the set and take a certain approach, and Richard would just tell me in my ear, you already know this information. And then I take a second approach. Once you start, I don't think you'll be able to stop. And I love binge watching shows, and I think this is one of those shows that you can be like, oh, I need the next episode now. So that's very exciting to me. Just being able to physically and emotionally keep up with the twists and turns of the show, and also that we shot it over a year and a half. It was a long time. It physically required a lot from us. And that was challenging, but I love to rise to challenges. Challenges make our jobs exciting, so that's why the show is very exciting. Memory on the set was when we wrapped it. I was like, back up, yay! It was a very, demanding show. It demanded a lot. So I think I felt a sense of achievement once we had finished it, once we wrapped it. I remember what Richard did when we wrapped. He went and shaved his head. Don't call me back for another shot. Oh! Would be non-negotiable now. It's actually really true. I can't work with people I don't like anymore. So it's really non-negotiable for me. I have to admire, look up to, and like the people that I work with, like the people that I'm surrounded with. I've been doing this for a very long time, and I want to be excited about going to work. I want to be inspired about going to work, and that's become non-negotiable for me. So when I meet the people that I'm going to work with, I take notes, and then look bad. But that truly is something that, as I've evolved, has become very important to me. I think the similarities are that movies are movies, TV is TV. Wherever in the world you go, the language is the same. You have a call sheet, you have a call time, you have an AD standing outside your trailer, you're late, come on, you have to know your lines, So the madness is the same. I think the differences are cultural, and that should not be touched or changed. I think the cultural differences are, there's a lot of paperwork in Hollywood, like there's stamping, there's signing when you finish working, and there's like the turnaround, and there's a lot of emailing, and a lot of that happens. Versus here, we are a little bit more lax with time, Indian stretchable time and all of that. But I think that the cultural differences are what I found different, but otherwise I think the medium of filmmaking is the same in both places.
Put into a corner. So, noting that is the reason you sought work in Hollywood. So, just wanted to know that why speaking about it now?
I think that first of all, when I was on the podcast, I was asked about the journey of my life, and I spoke about, when I was young, when I was 10, when I was 15, when I was 22, when I was 30, 40, whatever. So I was talking about the truth of my journey, and I think now I was confident enough to talk about that phase of my life. I think now where I am, I was okay enough to kind of articulate what I felt. I think I had a very tumultuous relationship with what occurred, but I forgave, I moved on a long time ago, and then I made my peace with it. And I think that's why it was easy for me to talk about it in an open manner, in a safe space.
Thank you.
Thank you.